Hey, good evening, guys. How we doing?
Good.
It's
Good, good. How
another
y'all
week.
doing?
I'm doing great. It's another week. It's gonna get cold here, Vance. You miss those days, don't you?
Not even a little.
I mean, they're talking minus 15. I think it's down to zero already, or
Yeah, we're down
almost.
to be -1 tonight, and then of course the rest of the week, and then it'll be negative numbers and Vance down there in
Uh,
sunny Georgia.
Yeah, it's
yeah,
in the 30s here, and we're cold.
30s. Although I can tell you, it's a different cold down there. It sure
Yeah,
is.
it's that moist cold that cuts
Well,
you.
the 30s here, the kids are still wearing shorts and
That's
whatnot.
that's
So yeah,
short sleeve shirt
that's
day,
short sleeve work day.
sunny and 30. So, well, I'll tell you what. Let's get started. We kind of got a big show. Guys are chiming in. Good to see you. Go ahead and let's start this off with the Second Amendment, as we do every time. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And the second protects them all, and that's becoming more and more relevant every single day. It seems like so. All right. Hey, I'm just going to say hi to a few people. Trampus, good evening. Hey, David is there, 1760 Sports. Brian Warner, good evening, Mr. Fellow MV. Good to have Corey on. By the way, Corey's going to be seeing us, Vance, here in a few, what do we got, about a month before we take off? February 18th, 16th, something like that. So, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
month.
Oh,
Dan Brown, hey, good to see you, Dan. Glad to have you back. He's over there on the western end. I'm sure you guys all remember Dan over there in Dickinson, and Josh Patterson. Hey guys, thanks for joining us. Thanks to our Rumble listeners, guys. Rumble's been taking off. 120, 130 viewers. I mean, I can't say enough for the Rumble viewers. It's really picking up steam over there. And I did see, I confirmed it. It is working. They come up with a new streaming platform link, and now I just was able to hit live and it went, so I don't have to
boom,
reprogram
right
each.
there.
So that's kind of nice. All right. Well, last week we covered bug out bags, and I think it was very well received. I don't know about you guys, but I heard a lot of great comments, had some emails on it, and was received really well. So we decided to do part two. Mike thought that'd be a great idea, and I did too. So,
Yeah.
guys, I'm going to let you start off, Mike, with part two.
Now, going back, we were talking about carrying pistols and whatnot to carry. And one thing that we talked about a few rifles, a few shotguns as well. And one thing I totally forgot, which I remembered, is the 30-30. Is a great universal gun to carry, and pretty easy to find the ammo for it as well. So it's not like some of the guns; it's a little difficult. But yeah, 30-30 is definitely a good one for that. But this time we wanted to talk about. I wanted to show this picture real quick, and this is a bug out bag for somebody who I don't know what they're expecting, but take a look at this and tell me what's wrong, Vance. Let's see this.
Well, it's empty.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of things in there you don't need.
Yeah. Now, if you need the guide, I think you're already in trouble because you're going to be reading on the way. There's a couple of small things in there I noticed that I was like, yeah, a spade is actually a good idea.
I'm not seeing a picture, Mike. Do you have a picture up yet?
Oh yeah, it's up there. You can't see it?
No, I'm not seeing a picture.
Oh, why not?
I can see it, so I guess I don't tell you, Vance.
I don't see it.
He's got a notebook. I guess
Not
write
bad
his
idea.
final words when they find his body. A can of Coke and a can of soup.
Yeah, one can.
Yeah.
I love that. He's got the essentials there. 3 bottles of water.
How
can
long
of
can I make
Coca-Cola
this
and a
can of
soup.
Coke last me? That's the thing. Yeah. 3 bottles of water, which is pretty heavy. I mean, no camel pack or anything. I mean, I could see that. Yeah, there's a lot of things in there that I'm just like going, I don't really think you're thinking too much. So, yeah, I'm sorry you can't see that, Vance. That's actually a pretty good one right there. It's an example of what not to do, pretty much.
Now, you mentioned Notepad. I don't think that's a terrible idea when you're navigating.
It's not always. But I mean, a big notepad is probably not the thing. But I mean,
No.
But I mean, everything from kindling to whatever. I I think that it has some uses to it. So I mean, you could do that. Let's see what I was looking. I don't know if you can see this, Vance. Let's see if you can see this one. I put a couple of things in there for the list. Of course, we were talking about pistols and your magazines and cartridges from 22 to 9mm to 40 and around that, and then knives, Leatherman. I think that's a good one.
Yeah,
we're also talking about
we talked about that afterwards. I said, a good multi-tool is probably
a good multi-tool is always good. I think with that, but multiple of these aren't tough in your bag and on you. Of course, wire cutters I think are actually a good idea because you get snagged up trying to cross somebody's field or whatever like that, and whatever it goes. And a foldable hacksaw or jacksaw, I call it. They're pretty prevalent now, but I mean, for doing some bushcraft work, I think that's actually a pretty good idea, and it still doesn't take up a ton of the area in your pack that you're going to really take away from anything. But talk about knives more, and of course, I went off and ordered myself something, and of course, I didn't get it from Etsy, but did order myself a new small hatchet that has multi-tools on it, and it also comes with a straight knife that is in the handle itself, and it has a fire striker. So I think it has a multi-use, but it's got a little bit of heft to it. It's also got a hammer on it as well. I think that's pretty good.
I've seen those.
Can you see that one?
I haven't seen. I don't see that one, but I've seen the tools that you're talking about, the hatchet, knife, multi-tool thing, and it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think that.
You know what that is? What? That's an assault hatchet. You can't have that.
Oh, it was black. That's right. I'm sorry about that.
And it's probably maybe does it come under 16 inches? So you better have an NFA tax permit for that too.
It is. It's right there. I think it's 15 inches actually. So it's more of a hatchet than anything else. But
by the way, here's my permit. That's all I need right there.
Well,
Second Amendment.
That works out.
See, I'm not seeing any pictures. I don't know why.
Oh, maybe I have to back out and come back in. I don't know what to tell you, Vance.
Did you lose your privileges?
I guess.
And like we were talking earlier about knives and whatnot. Of course, Clay, you show that little zip.
I like. I'm a fan of the Kershaw. I do like the assisted blade. This is a nice folder. It's not too big. It's not too small. It holds a nice edge. Yep, I do like the Kershaws. I can tell you that, like we were talking on off air, fixed knife, fixed blade is a good idea. I'm partial to my bucks. They're hard to get sharp, but they hold a heck of a good edge. And I got that smaller one that I love that's very concealable. So I don't think having multiple knives is a bad idea. It's probably one of the best tools you're going to have in those situations, as we were talking about last week.
And really, I don't think
that prepare for these type of things, like ourselves, we're sportsmen. I don't even know how many knives I have. So I mean, if it hit the fan and we really had to hit the road, we're probably going to grab a handful of knives and things to take with us.
Well, I think every pack I have has a knife or 10 in it.
And the glove box in your car and everything
the vehicles, else. Yeah. I mean, between guns, ammo, and knives, I'm pretty covered in everything I touch, it seems like. So,
and one thing I would definitely say that I would want is a machete, a sawback machete.
Yep. And I like the idea of a machete, and you don't necessarily have to have that in your pack. You can have that hanging on your belt. I don't know about you, but I'm going to have a belt on.
Yeah.
I know that Eric's listening tonight, and he's got that stuff. And I know his son, little Gunner, carries his machete and his knife and about 10 other things on himself. So you got to love that. He's bringing him up right.
Yes.
Let's see. David says, I play a lot of Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty. I don't need a go bag, just a go rifle. They'd probably stay at a Holiday Inn Express too.
All right, David. Thank you very much for that. Okay.
The Rambo knife. Oh my goodness. Oh, the good old Rambo.
Well, I've got one. I actually got it from an auction. We bought up a bunch of stuff, and I got a couple of those. And and I've got it in a toolbox in my truck. Just a half, but it's not one that I go for. The thing about it I like is that my son loves sharpening knives, and he's got the shed back in the back, and I got all the old tools from his grandfather, so he sharpens everything. So everything I got is sharp.
Well, that's good.
Be, so yeah. But that's another thing you got to think about is when you're out, we're not going to have electricity. We're not going to like that. So if you don't know how to use a whetstone, you're going to have to figure out some other things. Or if you want to just cheat on it, what are those little handheld slidey things that go across the blade to try to keep the edge on it.
Have a good steel. Yeah. I mean, that's essential. I don't have, when we butcher here, we use that steel a lot just to kind of smoothen out that blade till we have to sharpen it again. And having a steel is going to be essal. You want to keep a good sharp.
If you are bushcrafting, out there, if you're out for a longer period of time, then the bug out bag, you're gonna need a sharpener because the blades are going to dull up pretty quick.
And if you're in your vehicle, you've got a sharpener all day long with the edge of your window.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that little trick, and I've used it. It does work. I mean, it's not going to get it
No, to
razor
take the
sharp,
edge
but it
off or
does the
something.
work. It's
Yeah.
like running it across the steel. Yeah.
If you use the window and then you have a light bulb handy, you can get it pretty sharp.
There you go. There you go. So I've seen a couple of these here. Doug Thompson. I don't know why I can't bring these up. So I'm having a little trouble with my message tonight as well. There it comes. Just a little delayed. It says, I like outdoor edge knife with the replacement blades. Yeah, those are great. Layton's got one of those that I believe Eric gave it for his birthday one year. And I think Eric carries one. Those are handy, except you got to have replacement blades.
Yeah.
But I think those are a handy thing to have too. They're great for skinning. I've found I really like them for skinning. So.
And you know what? That's going to be the thing too. If you're going to have to live for a few days out into the bush, you're going to have to eat, and anything you shoot, and whether it be a squirrel or whatever else, that dulls up your blade quick with a little bit of hide. Just doesn't take very much.
Eric says Gunner's machete drags on the ground and pulls his pants down even with his belt on. That's because there's no meat on that kid. Jamie chimed in. This is a good point. Tourniquet. I think a tourniquet, absolutely a must to have. And you can makeshift one, but if you got one that you can just absolutely, and Jamie mentioned something last week when I was visiting with him. As far as firearms go, not that we want to go back to the fire, but I'm going to have an AR, no matter what. Yeah. I'm having an AR, and Jamie said the same. I would too. I'm going to have an AR. To me, that's one of the essential guns I'm going to have with me. Just one of many. So,
well, as much as I like bolt action, it's one of those things where I think it's much easier, much time. It doesn't consume as much time to fire, and you're comfortable with it. I mean, and whatnot. So it depends on what your scope is on there or whatnot. But if you're up close or far away, I mean, it's still good for anything.
Yeah, I think it's the most versatile, and your stock folds down. And ammo. There's going to be 223 everywhere. I mean, if you're having to, worst case scenarios talking here, you're having to take over houses, you're having to take over people, whatever the situation might be, you're going to find 223 ammo all over the place.
223, 5.56, 9mm. Those are all going to be very readily. And I imagine even 22, just because there's so many of them out in private homes and places like that. But 223, 7.62. You know why I want 7.62. If you have them calibers, you aren't going to run out of ammo, because worst case scenario, you take out your enemy or you die. Either way, you win, because you either get their ammo or you don't need it anymore. Right. It's just that simple. John, good to see you. I believe that's your son there, Mr. Vance.
Yes, it is.
And he's coming here, right, with you? I know he knows how to use this stuff. So
one of the things I was going to
Corey. Corey says all he needs is a Ruger 1022.
There you go.
Well, you know what?
He can even shoot that when it's low light too. We'll just leave it at that. I know he's good with it.
He's good with that, yeah. One of the things I was going to mention too on the bug out bag, on a situation where we were talking last week where you had to travel a distance to whatever the location you were going to. If you've got an overnight or a couple of nights that you're going to be out on the road, one of the places that people don't think about where to camp out, where to take shelter, is if you know all these farmhouses that are old homestead farmhouses that are burned out or dilapidated or whatnot. But if you think about it, they're there and they've been there for 50 years dilapidated, and they'll be there another 50 years from now. Put those on your map. Those are some of the places that you can plan on stopping to take some shelter. Even if the weather's not too bad, it's still a good place to have for shelter, because they're there. They're just landmarks that are perfect to put on your artillery.
The old barns. There's old barns all over the place up there that aren't being used no more, that you could easily take coverage in.
Right.
One other thing I had suggested, and I kind of thought about it too, is that would probably go into my bug out bag and be, I'd classify it under the, axes, knives, tools, things like that, is a pruning shears. And the reason is you're going to have kindling. That might not always be available. You'll be able to find stuff and cut it up. You can use it. You can use it for a variety of things. You can even use it if you're gutting game and you want to, you shoot a bird, clip those wings off and those bones. I never even thought about that till someone mentioned it. I was like, that's probably a pretty good idea. And they're not that heavy.
And something, the bag itself, I mean, consider a situation where you don't have a vehicle and you're actually having to carry that bag on your back. you're going to want, especially if you've got the amount of stuff we're talking about here, you're going to want a good braced weight belt bag to help you carry that weight high.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, just your average backpack like I carry to work or something, that's not what you want.
No. I've actually got a framed one if I needed it. When I really go out. I haven't used that much just because I've always had horses and packs. So then I could just take a pack and leave my horse. So, but I'm in a different situation. I'm not going to have to travel hundreds of miles through some of the, yes, with some of the worst conditions. Our issue here is going to be the ones that are coming that are in the immediate area is good because you're going to need help. If you think you can do it alone, whatever. No. You're going to have a plan and hopefully you've already talked to the people if you're planning to stay where you're at. Like I have. I mean, I know who's coming here and I know what their skills are and I know what we can do. I hope it never happens. I don't want this to happen. People might think that I want this to happen. I never want this to happen, but prepare for it because it's more of a reality now than I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah.
And we're not just talking about, the scenarios that be thrown out all the time in movies and stuff like that. We're talking about natural. We're talking, that stuff. We're talking about. I've seen a lot of zombies in Sioux Falls, but that's a different story altogether. But think about natural disasters, and I've said this before. Rapid City is on the edge of the Yellowstone caldera.
Yes,
that thing doesn't have to blow fully; it just has to go a little bit, and we're going to be in a massive situation. Where life and death is going to depend on what you can do.
I probably won't have to worry about it. If that thing goes even a little as close as we are, it's probably lights out here.
Well, at least it'll be lights out on our skies. I mean, that's one
for
thing.
Sure for that. But I've seen some of those scenarios too. But yeah, natural disasters can cause an apocalyptic type setting. There's no doubt about it. So prepare for everything, I guess, is a good way. But if you're going to be traveling, you better travel light if you're on foot. If you got a horse, better. You're still going to need feed and water, and you're still going to run in. I don't care if it's 50 miles or 300. You're going to run into people that are going to want what you have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing. That's probably going to be the worst thing, honestly.
And, I was thinking about it as like, with travel plans, it's like, say if my number one plan is to get up to where Clay is, 338 miles from Mitchell. You can zero it on the map now. One of the things is that there are a lot of towns I want to avoid. Pierre, I want to avoid that. Yeah. And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of, it's a goofy town. Anyway, it's on the edge of a lot of crap. And
Pierre's going to be on its knees because there's not a lot of supply there.
Yeah.
So food and resources, they're gone in hours, not just days, hours.
Yeah, because you don't have trucks coming in anymore.
No. And it's the center of the, of all the roads. Most roads meet up through there around
and
there.
It's a massive population of people that are going to be scrounging for everything. So I don't want to go through there.
There's a lot of politicians there, and they're not good at much. So, So, and here's another thing you got to take into consideration. We're kind of getting off subject. Maybe this is part 3. Your terrain. Like you, Mike, you got a big river to cross. What if the bridges are out?
Yeah.
What if it's February?
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing. And right now, I mean, I've got a couple of nice, good winter coats to really go through some heavy snow. Or I've got that big giant orange one that Clay makes fun of me when I hunt.
Yeah,
that one I don't.
We'll see it coming.
Yeah, they'll see me coming, all right.
Yeah. But Neos, I guess we're going to go on that aspect, guys, in the winter. Neos, we use them ice fishing. Corey's the one that first time I saw him, Corey Merriman had them. I mean, I've been out there in my pull-on shoes when it's 20 below, and my feet don't get cold.
Oh yeah,
we ice fish in them and just stand around, and my feet don't get cold. They are probably to me one of the most important things to have in cold weather, and they'd probably be very important if you're going to have to trek a long way, whether it's in a vehicle, on foot, or on horseback. Keep your feet warm, dry, and take care of your feet, or you're done.
Well, like we were talking about that picture that I hope everybody else can see, but I mean, there's no socks in there. There's no extra anything. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay. There's no socks in there.
But he's got Coca-Cola and a North Face cap. He's good.
Yeah, that's good. It's good stuff.
Coca-Cola. The only thing I can think of is calories and sugar. I don't. I
But
don't
for
know
how
his
long?
Yeah,
I mean, that's
I don't know his thinking there. I mean, I could see high calorie foods and things like that, carbs, but I mean, he don't even have a food source there, like a snack source.
No, I don't
well.
even
Here's
see a first. Do you see a first aid kit? I do not.
I
Oh,
think
right there. Maybe that one with the little black cross or the
yeah, I
white
think
cross.
that's what his
Maybe it
first
is.
aid kit is. So I'm not quite sure.
But
And
that
good thing he's
that
got an extra baseball cap too. I'm glad
yeah,
on that. So.
maybe he's not going far. I don't know. He's evidently taking someone. He wants radios. He's got
Yeah,
2
who's he calling
radios.
on those radios?
I
And the
don't know.
radios are fine. I think that's fine. I think one of the notes that I put down is that if you wanted to have a radio, have one that scans
Yep.
for all bands, and actually have one of the old school with the cord in your ear, so that you don't give away your position if you're listening for other things. Because I want
Absolutely.
to know if people are moving around me, and hopefully that radio band will catch that. So I know somebody's coming up close to me. And plus, it's one of those things we talked about last week where you want to get one that can go the ham radio route, whereas I can
Right.
tune into a certain whatever the signal is, and Clay at a certain time is going to be on the radio listening, and so if he hears me, then we can have a conversation, but and do a status thing, but all that's got to be planned out ahead of time too.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing I thought about, and I think this goes down the line of, I'm just going to lump this in with knives, axes, things like that, is snares and traps.
Yeah.
If you don't know how, learn. It isn't that tough. It takes time to perfect the skill, and I haven't perfected it. But a snare and a trap are going to be a handy thing too, because if you have to stay in an area anytime, you can probably catch some rabbits and gophers. You're going to catch some things that you'll be able to at least eat.
Right.
And then you pack them up and take them with you. Now, snares are going to be way easier and lighter and easy to put in your pack. Traps, I wouldn't take a lot of them because they do get heavy.
That's some heavy weight right there.
It is.
Now,
but that just kind of, when I was thinking about these things going along that lines, I thought that might be something that would fit in there too. And a block and tackle. You get the small ones. You can get these nice aluminum ones now. You can put them about that big. Be surprised how that might be handy for you for a lot of things, whether you have to build a shelter if you're coming a long ways and move some big tall branches or things. I mean, a block and tackle is very useful for a lot of different things. So
yeah, and back to fishing as well. There's always the Ronco pocket fisherman. Remember, you can always take that with you.
I remember those. Well, let's get to a few comments here, guys.
What we got?
Well, David Fetta, he put on there, he says, a good chance for food also. Coons, absolutely.
Yeah.
Coons, porcupine guy. I think we talked and touched a little bit on that last week. You can eat anything just about if you have to.
As long as you cook it. As long as you cook it
yeah.
good. Because if you don't cook it good, then you're taking...
You can eat it, but you might get some... you might not like the results. Doug says, I'm not worried about not being able to get fuel. Just load the horse trailer up front compartment with it, then load 4 head of horses and go. Run out, jump out on the horses and go. You're right. And it kind of goes back to okay, society's collapsing for one reason or another. If it's the natural disaster, we can come back from that. We got the knowledge. We know how to get back into that rhythm. Who knows if it's devastating enough? There's going to be no federal government. I mean, things are going to collapse that far. We're going to be able to go and just... we got oil wells and pumps and refineries just to the north. It ain't that far from me. And we have the knowledge, and we know people that have the knowledge. Yeah, and DJ's a welder.
One of the things about
knowledge.
Your area, and Vance, you could attest to this, is that how many guys in that area up there have their own machine tools to make other machine tools. There's a ton of guys up there with the knowledge.
Absolutely. Yeah. Corey puts on, what's that movie with Denzel Washington? I'm guessing he means Denzel Washington, where he carried light but got stuff along the way.
It's the Book of Eli.
Book of Eli, yeah.
That was a good movie, too.
We watched that while we were ice fishing up there in Montana.
That's right, we did, didn't we?
Yep.
Oh.
I don't think you were with us that one.
I
there
was
were no
looking
bears
out for
on
bears.
that trip, Mike.
I was looking out for
That was
bears.
the first one we went on.
Yeah, that was the first one.
You guys laugh about me about bears, but that's what I was talking about in Japan, because they say that the climate change, that's why bears aren't hibernating long enough. See, that could have happened to me. Those bears could have came out in the middle of a snowstorm.
Oh, yeah, we touched on that on Mitchell in the Morning last week. The bears in Japan says it's climate change, global warming, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, Mike, that was fun though. You got to do
Yeah.
that again with us sometime. We had a blast up there.
Yeah,
In
in
the
case
middle of the
anybody wants
winter.
to know, I was out taking a constitutional in the middle of a snowstorm when I suddenly had the thought, heck, I'm in bear territory.
You got to remember, it's a blizzard.
Right, it's a blizzard. I know. But I'm in bear territory, and all I got on me is this 38. And I'm thinking to myself, this is not how I want to go.
And he had his coveralls, and we had just got done talking about a guy that had an unfortunate incident where he missed his coverall or didn't miss his coveralls.
He did miss. Yeah.
So Mike didn't want to get it in his coveralls and stink. And he was thinking about a bear coming. All he has is this 38. What's he going to do? And he's how many feet from the camper? Yeah, and there might have been some adult beverages involved in this, so the story was even funnier. But, that was a good time.
That was a good time.
David Fetting says, probably best to avoid main roads. I think you're right there. The more remote you can get, the better. The closer you are to population bases, the farther out you're going to have to go to get to that. So I would not want to be in a big area like Bismarck, Sioux Falls. I'm glad I'm right where I'm at.
Right.
Corey's like, yep, Neo's gonna get a workout this week, and I already had mine on, Corey. Yeah, today, and I wouldn't be without them anymore. Cliff says, make one pretty easy with a 550 cord. There you go. And David's talks about the ham radio. Ham takes a boot full of power to broadcast a few miles. It does. And that's just it. I'm probably the most set up to set up a ham radio right here with what I have available. Plus, I got that great big, I can make an antenna out of that or put the antenna on top of that nice, great big old windmill. And that's 40 some foot in the air. And it's going to take a lot of power. They take a lot of power. The more I read about these, you're not just going to set them up overnight, but I really want a ham radio.
It got Corey up there talking about paper maps and whatnot. And if I put it on here, we can see it on my list. Paper maps are a laminated map and compass, but you don't need the whole country. You just need our surrounding states. That's what you need. Mm-hmm. So you don't need everything. But laminated is actually a pretty good idea and sealed.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and you're going to want the topographical ones as well. If you don't know the terrain you're covering, so that you can see, is it hilly? Is it not? Are you going to be crossing a ravine that's a mile down and a mile up? We do get them. You get down those badland areas, it gets pretty deep. You can even get some pretty deep ones along the Missouri River.
And one of the things is that, like you said, when you're not sticking to the main roads, you stay off the main roads. The next thing you know, you're butt up against a river or a big creek that you can't cross, not without getting everything you own wet. So, porcupine. If you can learn how to do it without getting the quills, it's a good.
Yeah,
lots of points. If Waylon ain't on here.
No, I don't think he's on. He chimed in one time, but I don't think this is Waylon's thing getting on and watching a live stream. And then, of course, says he's going to the Mobridge ice fishing tournament. One thing about it, you should have ice this year. I know last year was a little iffy, so hopefully do good and catch some big ones. Bring some nice walleyes along for the big trip here.
What David says are on the ham radio thing, taking a lot of power. Of course, what we're talking about is only turning it on at certain times of the day to catch a broadcast. And if you don't, then you shut it off and you conserve power. So it makes sense. It is a power waste.
My biggest thing here is I can produce electricity here. I have a big generator. It runs the entire place. My biggest issue will be feeding it fuel. So I either use a tractor or use something that is going to be gas powered. Either way, I'm going to have a fuel source. Now, in the summertime, that's not a big issue. You can literally put in a diesel motor oil, vegetable oil. It's just, you can find unrefined crude. Diesels will take a lot of abuse, but gasoline's a little trickier.
Yeah.
And most of them engines don't run on ethanol. That's pure alcohol.
And this all boils down to what we said last week too, is the most important thing you can take along is skills. You really need to know what you're doing in order to survive with minimal resources. And so many people talk about it, but don't practice it. Don't spend time in the woods. Don't hunt. Don't know how to skin a deer. Don't know how to catch a fish. And but they go on these sites and they sit here on keyboards and think they got the skills because they read it online.
And put up a picture like the one on Reddit.
Yeah, that's one of the things I talked to Clay about a bunch. Is you've got a lot of people out there that like these subscription boxes and whatnot, which we've been talking about, maybe getting some of those and doing some reviews on them. Is that if you look at them, I mean, you're talking about beginner, intermediate, or expert, and I think a lot of them turn out to be very, very intermediate and half useless.
Yeah.
Half the stuff you don't need, and the other half is probably going to break the first time you do use it. So, I mean, but people are buying it up in the cities and whatnot. And I think it's stuff that should be reviewed because it's people need to know if they're going to be doing stuff like that. They've got to find something that's at least decent and kind of.
Well, here's the one site we were looking at, Battle Box. You got your basic, it's $35 a month, and the advanced is $7 or $65. The pro, and you can see as they go up in price, there's more and more things on them.
Right.
And and you know what? We're probably going to do something like that. Just maybe do a three-month subscription, open them up. Maybe what we'll do is there's 3 of us. Maybe we'll have one sent to Mike, and then one to me, and one to Vance, and we can open them up on an episode every month.
Or I'll tell you what, another good idea is that we could go ahead and take our sons out and test everything and do a little video.
I like that even better. And then send it to them, and then they'll send us free ones.
There you go.
Right? Isn't that how that's supposed to work?
My youngest is 28. I mean, does it still count?
That still counts.
Still counts. Still counts. Good to go. All right. Well, guys, tell you what, we are coming up on the bottom of the hour, so I suppose we better pay some bills here and thank our headline sponsor, Mr. Lauer, Mr. Doug Wolf with Lauer Auto Repair. By the way, I got my pickup up there right now, and I'm sure it'll be fantastic when it gets down. But let's go ahead and thank some sponsors, and then we'll come back, maybe wrap this up, and then move into Mr. Wayne LaPierre, Uncle Wayne, guys. We all know what happened here last week, so.
LAUER Auto Repair. They're located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota, or give them a call at 701-258-6308. The team of mechanics at LAUER Auto can tackle any problem your vehicle is having, and when you do business with LAUER, you can be assured you're doing business with the Pro Second Amendment America First Repair Shop. There's plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area, but why take the chance of patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake, LAUER Auto is your Pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at LAUER Auto, don't forget to tell them you heard they're a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our Pro Second Amendment, Pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's LAUER Auto Repair, 701-258-6308, located at 309 South Washington Street, Bismarck, North Dakota.
All righty. Hey. So, like I said, Guns of the 701, powered by LAUER Auto, and we're glad to have him on board. And Axe is going with us, too. He'll be joining us. He's flying down. We're going to see him down in Florida, too. So it'll be a great time. Awesome. All right. Well, okay. So we talked about knives and axes, guns, and I'm kind of with you on that. I think a 30-30 would be another good one. It kind of depends on how heavy or how light you can travel.
Right.
I think ammo. Yeah, and I think ammo is going to be a little tougher to find. It's not like it used to be. So I'd say bring your own ammo if you're going to be doing that.
Right.
And another gun is, as far as that goes, and if you want to carry stuff and it'd be easy, is to have just a single shot black powder rifle. Take your powder, your bullets, which would be your round balls, and your kit. I mean, you do that anyway when you hunt with one, and you could carry that pretty easily in your pack. At least you'd have something. There you go. And you could make it happen. I think that wouldn't be a bad idea too. Big thing's going to be keep your powder dry, because that's where that kind of comes from, and to make it work. So, hey, I just popped over to Guns and the 701. Hey, thanks guys for listening there. I see we got viewers there. Rumble's got some viewers. It's bouncing between 5 and 10. So yeah, tell you what, I'm glad to see all these other platforms are picking it up. We're working on Twitter. I don't know if it's on Twitter. There's been issues with that, so I think they want you to get your little verified check mark to do anything on there anymore.
Ching, ching.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's just my 2 cents worth as far as on the bug out bag.
But we'll go over more on the bug out bag, and we'll put together a proper list. I mean, It's really, it depends on you, but I have to think about this. And Vance, you agree with you have a wife, of course, Clay, you have your wife, you have your kids. You have to think about not only your bug out bag, you've got to think about what they are going to need. And two, and I've been looking at a lot of different kits that are available, which we don't have to show you right now, but a lot of different kits that are available for medicines and whatnot, including EpiPens and everything else that you might need. Or if your kid or yourself suffer from asthma, you might need some. There's all kinds of things out there, and there's these places available that you can buy these kits. Sometimes they're a little spendy, so I think it's good to shop. But you've got to plan not only for yourself, but you got to plan for your family as well.
Right.
Jace Medical is one of those places. I don't know if you've heard of them, and they've got doctors. You got to do the teledoctor thing with them, but they'll write you a prescription, and they come with all kinds of things. I think there's penicillin in there, or penicillin tablets, along with some ivermectin and a lot of other things. Bandages. It's like a first aid kit on steroids with medicine that you're going to need. I'm lucky enough, or I guess we're fortunate enough out here in rural America. If you farm and ranch, most likely you have a really good supply of antibiotics that, they're for animal use, but I'm telling you right now, you can use them as a human too. And we have a lot of that on hand, especially epinephrine, which is in an EpiPen. If you know your dosage, you don't even need the EpiPen. You got that on hand.
Yeah.
Things like penicillin, the penicillin G, which is long lasting. I'm telling you right now, it's the same exact thing that comes down the line. It just wasn't tested or approved for human use, but it's the exact same thing.
And one other thing, I'll bring this up as a suggestion. If they haven't already been rated, of course, that if you are out on the road and there's medicine to be needed, pharmacies are going to be ripped completely apart. They're going to be gone. But I want you to think about this for a second. Think about all the different locations throughout your area that have the drug drop-off boxes. They have those all over, and hey, that might be worth scavenging for that as well. But I've been putting together. I've got a lot of medicines, of course. I'm a fatter, older guy, so I got a lot of medicines, and so.
No, you're not fat. As Jamie says, we're large Americans.
We're large Americans, larger than life sometimes. But one of the things is that, I've got some stuff put away so that I can start putting together for a pack, so that just in case that I need it down the road. And then I've got some stuff that they say that the stuff goes bad after, so long. And it's kind of one of those things where I'm kind of like, maybe they weaken a little bit, but they still have some use.
They weaken over time. I don't know what that time period would be, but I can tell you right now, I've taken some pretty old amoxicillin and it worked just fine.
Just fine, yeah.
As I don't throw it out when it expires. It's just retarded.
But you have to think, vet clinics and everything else. But remember also that vet clinics and places like that are probably going to have other people also going for that same stuff. So you don't want to go where you're going to have too much competition.
In our area, I would imagine the vets themselves are going to clear out their own shelves and take them with them. Our vets, I know they would. I would if I was a vet.
Places like Runnings, Tractor Supply, Feed Supply places. I remember being down at our hog hunt once years ago, getting a cold.
That was Corey.
Was it Corey? He said, "I'm not letting this ruin my vacation." We went to Tractor Supply and he picked some stuff up, and then next day he was back at it. He felt good.
And I think I took some too. We got sulfoboluses, basically what you give cattle, just a really good antibiotic, and it works great. I'm telling you guys, if you're feeling like you can't get over something, I wouldn't suggest every time you feel a sniffle to take one. But if you're having trouble, don't go to the doctor and have to spend hundreds of dollars and get an antibiotic that you have to take for 14 days. No, take a sulfobolus according to weight. It's so many mils 100, and I'm telling you, in 12 hours you're back on your feet. And you're going to be over it within 24, most likely. Most things, not everything, but a lot of things. So.
And I have to throw the disclaimer is don't take advice from a podcast. I'm saying we're giving you advice, but you don't.
I can tell you, I've personally done it, and
educate yourself.
Yes, that when the whole thing with China virus was going around, and the ivermectin, don't take horse paste. How retarded were them people? Do you realize there's an injectable ivermectin that's actually and pills for the use for humans? It's been around since the 1940s?
Yeah, but it became a talking point for them and us, or us and
it works.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a veterinarian. I'm not going to give his name, but he took a little dose every single day during that thing. And the gentleman's quite up there in age. He never got anything. In fact, he still continued doing it as a preventative measure. He said he's never felt better. So maybe there's something to that. I don't know. All right, get through a few of these here. Cliff, he says Grand Thumb on YouTube is a really good resource to learn from. Well, check that out. I've never heard of that one.
Right. There's so much stuff to look at.
There is. David, he says, I'm referencing broadcast watts. I have 90 watts in atmospheric conditions, limit me 9 to 51 miles. So that's quite a range, 9 to 51 miles. That's quite a range, actually. Big variance there. Tac Pack, another one. It's another subscription that sends good gear. Okay. I don't know if that was one you sent me or not.
I've sent you a few, but no, I think that's not the one I sent. But yeah, there are subscription packs out, and like I said, we've been looking at a few, trying to see not only that they are reputable and they'll get you what you're supposed to get, and for the best price you can, but that they're not one of these groups that sends all the money that you send them to some causes we don't want. So it's. And when we were talking about that with a few of the subscription boxes, it's good to check out the background of them and see. And if you got any questions, call them up directly.
And maybe I did that.
Get one each from a different company and see how they compare.
Yeah, absolutely. Dougie says 45 long Colt. Yeah, 45 Colt can have a lever or a pistol lever action rifle. And we talked about that too. Convenience. A lot of things. Yeah, there's probably must-haves. Yeah. But there's also going to be personal preferences, and it's going to depend on what your situation is. Like me, I'm here.
Yeah.
I don't really need to go anywhere. If I got to leave, things got real bad, guys.
If you're coming to me, I'm worried.
Yeah, I mean, so it's all going to, I can prepare in different ways so that when people that I know are coming here, we're ready. It's just you guys getting here. You might be 338 miles, or you might be 10, or you might be 50. I mean, there's a few people. Yeah, you're gonna have a little longer trip, Van.
Well, we'll get into that down the road. We'll talk about more stuff when we're going to go through different things with this with the bug out bag, but also we'll go over the fact that your vehicles, they're going to have to get somewhere, and you're going to have to be able to stock them up with gas. Now, you can't just leave gas in cans in your garage forever.
Definitely.
I mean, this stuff will go bad. So you're going to have a schedule to rotate that stuff out. And,
another advantage of diesel, it will get bacteria in it essentially.
Yeah.
But it takes a long time for that. I mean, we had that tractor sit for several years when I didn't use it. Put fresh diesel on top, mixed it, and I tell you what, that baby fired off and ran like a top. So think about that. By the way, depending on what happens, whether it's a government attack, whether it's a, whatever type it might be, if there's an EMF goes off, all your guys' new vehicles ain't going to run.
Right. The chips are done.
I have vehicles that'll run, but most people don't keep their old stuff going. So keep that in mind too. Might need that Scout 2 back, Vance. It still runs.
Yeah.
So I guess let's probably call it a wrap on this. Unless you guys got anything, and
no, we're good on that one.
We'll do a part 3 at some point. I don't think we'll do it next week. We got some other plans for next week.
Right.
And I guess the next thing we're going to roll into is going to be Mr. Wayne LaPierre. We're going to take another quick break before we do that. I think it'd be a good time to do that because I think that might be lengthy, and talk about what happened, why it happened, and where does the NRA go from here with Wayne LaPierre not at the helm. It could get interesting. So stay tuned, guys. We're coming back with NRA and Wayne LaPierre.
LAUER Auto Repair. They're located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota, or give them a call at 701-258-6308. The team of mechanics at LAUER Auto can tackle any problem your vehicle is having, and when you do business with LAUER, you can be assured you're doing business with the Pro Second Amendment America First Repair Shop. There's plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area, but why take the chance of patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake, LAUER Auto is your Pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at LAUER Auto, don't forget to tell them you heard they're a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our Pro Second Amendment, Pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's LAUER Auto Repair, 701-258-6308, located at 309 South Washington Street, Bismarck, North Dakota.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're going to have to pep this up. I think we're kind of getting on low there. We need to get going here. So as you all know, I'm sure you all heard everything that Wayne LaPierre stepped down. What was it, last week? As the executive vice president of the National Rifle Association. Now, I think this has been coming for a while. When I worked for them, I really thought that Wayne should have probably retired at that time. Just because I thought he was losing his step. He wasn't as quick on his feet. He wasn't near as energetic as he was through the days. So my feelings then was, he did one hell of a job, especially when he started out. But I'm telling you, it was time for him even 10, 15 years ago. He probably should have stepped down because he just didn't have it. He should have just turned the reins over to Chris Cox at that time and let him have it. I think he would have been a great executive vice president, because he took Wayne's spot with the NRA ILA. And, Wayne did a heck of a job with the ILA. He basically fostered that baby and brought it to what it was, then turned it over to James Baker and eventually Chris Cox. So everybody can get on Wayne as much as they want. Now, if the things that are being said are true, then he needs to face the music. He needs to stand and face those accusations and then take the consequence if true. But you got Letitia James, the same commie that's prosecuting Trump right now on false narratives. Is she prosecuting Wayne on this? I do not know. I know some of the accusations that have been made, and I know some of the backstory. You guys have both heard them in the past. Yeah. The one suit was the one I knew about. That was the one the media blew up. And I'm sorry, Wayne LaPierre was in California at a deal. His luggage didn't make it. He needed a suit. Yeah, it was an expensive one. They went and bought it in that area, and the NRA paid for it. I'm telling you, I don't want Wayne LaPierre, who's the face of the NRA, going to speak on our behalf in an election year in California, going out there looking like Fetterman. I want him to look good.
That's a good one right there. That's a good analogy.
And a lot of companies do offer a clothing package or an allowance and things like that. I don't, unless he abused that situation, I don't know.
And did he take a lot of private flights? That was true. We all knew about that. That was no secret. But it's because I don't think people realize how many threats on his life happened daily. Yeah. Because he was the head of the NRA. And man, the man actually had his entire credit rating destroyed because they hack all his stuff and literally open up credit cards and charging accounts and things and then not pay him. It literally destroyed his credit rating at one point. So, I mean, yeah, you can talk about all the things that may or may not happen. I don't know. Let's let this trial play out and see what's presented as evidence. I guess I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, but I am glad he stepped down and retired. I thought it needed to happen years ago. I thought it's time to turn it over to someone new. I'd love to see him bring Chris Cox back at this point. Who knows? Ollie North might come back now because there was that whole coup thing in 2019 and they lost. So when you lose your coup, guess what?
You go away.
You're going to go away. And that's what happened. And Chris Cox didn't go away. He just went into a whole nother, he started his own company essentially. So he's still doing the same thing. He still loves the Second Amendment. Now, that Josh guy, I'm telling you, that guy was a snake when I met him. I didn't like him when he came in to replace Kyle Weaver. I didn't trust him. There was something about him, a little sawed-off, little sucker is what I couldn't stand the guy. And it looks like we were right about that. He actually went to work for a gun control corporation after he left the NRA. So what's that tell you? I think he was a plant from day one.
Yeah.
So I'm going to let you guys kind of chime in on this. I mean, I got a lot of stuff here. Go ahead and have you chime in on it.
One of the things they're talking about, private jet flights from Washington, D.C. to Dallas with stops in Nebraska to pick up LaPierre's niece. Now, according to the bylaws of the NRA, you're supposed to fly coach. I understand that, but I think one of the problems is that anybody, we've seen it in politicians, we see it with anybody else, is that when they have too much power for too long, they tend to find it easier to abuse it because it's just given to them. And I think from the lower echelons, it was given to him and he just became acceptable with it. And like I said, I think he should have been out a while back simply because I just think he lost his step. When I first got into the to helping out with friends of the NRA. It was that way. He was, the attention wasn't where it needed to be. But hey, he's still doing the fight, and that's what we wanted. We wanted somebody doing the fight.
Absolutely.
I totally agree. And I remember as well, we were volunteering out there at about the same time. And Clay pointing out things at the time that were going on that why he probably should have went ahead and retired while he was kind of ahead of the game and integrity intact, or at least I'm not saying his integrity is not intact now, but it's being attacked.
Right. Yeah.
What do you think about a situation like with the NRA, organization like the NRA, having term limits? He's been in there 33 years.
Yeah.
Well,
91.
It was never an elected position. Maybe it should be. I don't know. The executive vice president is essentially another name for your CEO.
Right.
Okay. So he was always appointed by the board. If people want to really blame somebody, if he did wrong, why on earth didn't the board do something then? They had to know.
I think that is kind of an easy thing. That's kind of goes on their side, though, is like that it was Wayne's way or no way, and I think, that's the other side of having power for too long, then lets you get away with everything because, I've worked for some corporations and corporations that have said, stupid things, but here I am trying to, feed my family. It's tough to buck the system. I've actually said to my former corporate CEO, questions that I had when he was in town, and it wasn't received very nicely, but I was being honest, and I figured if he couldn't answer, well, then who could, right? So it's one of those things where you're right, people should, but they became too hesitant, and we've seen so much turnover in the NRA, Clay, through all the different divisions. Couldn't keep people in the same jobs, and of course, then it's kind of like a government job where if you didn't do what you were supposed to do in a short period of time, you just got moved off to something else.
Except in field ops, as you know, how many reps? I was one that stayed. I was one of the longest ones there when I retired.
Right,
almost 10 years. I can tell you the average employment of a field rep at that time was 3 years or less. But think about that. The turnover within that particular position. That had a lot to do. I think some people took the job, didn't realize what it was, couldn't handle it, and then left. Some got fired because they weren't performing. And as we all say, crap rolls downhill. And we saw that if it came from above and it went to the general manager and then went to the regional directors and then it came down to us. That we were at the bottom of that heap. Even though, we got paid well, we did well. We had a great job, honestly. I loved the job. I was really starting to hate the travel. But the things I saw, the things I complained about all the time. To me, I compared it to government with this huge bureaucracy. And it was. You had the same bureaucratic crap happening up here at the top when they had no idea what we were doing.
Right.
Or how we accomplished it. All they saw was the dollar signs we were producing, which I'm telling you, it was a lot of money. Remember
when it gets down to a bean counter mentality, then it's going to have a lot of things fall through the cracks.
And it was, the years I was there, it just kept going up and kept going up and kept going up. And we were doing well. And then, boom, we had a bad year. Well, it can't always keep going up. When you have a 10-year streak, because it was doing that before I got there, of increasing significantly, eventually you're going to top out, right?
Right.
And now it doesn't mean you can't come back from that, but, and a lot of people got fired over that, and really they had nothing to do with that. I watched it happen in my own area. I had to get creative. When I first stepped in, I had North Dakota, and the oil boom was booming, right?
Right.
Well, then it went bust, didn't it? And
Yeah.
we saw revenue go down quite significantly in those areas. But we did things. We adapted. We changed. Mike, you went to high caliber clubs. We had one in Lemon. We started one in McIntosh and had a couple great ones there. We got more creative and replaced those dollars. Now, we didn't grow a lot that year, but we did make growth. We just didn't make the double-digit growth. But as far as Wayne goes, like I said, I think he should have retired a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well, here's a question for you. So LaPierre is accused of setting himself up with $17 million contract with the NRA if he were to exit the organization. So do you think that's after what? How long did you say? 33 years?
91, he went in there. So
Yeah, 91.
1991.
For
Yeah.
33 years. I mean, obviously he's got a nice nest egg from it already, but I mean, that's just asking for even more in a time where the NRA is in turmoil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't tell you anything about the contracts. I mean, that's stuff we just didn't have. We weren't privy to that information.
Oh, right.
If he did, was it legit? Fine. If it wasn't, and it was to provide him with some kind of a nest egg afterwards, I got a problem with that. No, absolutely.
Yeah. I just feel like the longer someone's in power, the more they feel, like Mike was saying, the more they feel like they can get away with. And it's true.
It's very true.
I mean, you start feeling invincible, like, oh, by that suit, they're not going to do nothing. I'm Wayne.
That's why the term limits for politicians are so important. I mean,
well, I can tell you this. Every time I went to headquarters, which, by the way, is a magnificent building. Everyone should go visit it once. But and by the way, they didn't spend millions and millions and millions of dollars on that building. They bought it in a bankruptcy, literally for pennies on the dollar. And then they rented out the entire 6th floor and part of the 5th. And it was making more money than it was costing them. But that's another thing that Wayne was accused of. And he made it happen because it was available. But anyway, that's a whole nother
he made
thing.
it profitable, so that's a bad
thing.
Yeah,
that's a horrible thing, right? But as far as him, abusing the position, I imagine he did. Anybody that says that any position you've ever had, and I can tell you right now, I took things in stride sometimes. I did with NRA, and we took advantage of some of the things that we had available to us. Not that we did anything wrong, but we probably didn't have to do it. We might. I looked at it as rewarding my volunteers to take them all out for a nice dinner. Weren't supposed to do that. Or, Mike, you'd ride along with me to help me out at events. Or Vance as well. Not supposed to do that. So, yes, I did take those kinds of liberties, and I didn't really give a shit.
We had it set up for you as you had volunteers spread on both sides of East and West River, on both sides of North Dakota and South Dakota. Yep. And it was great because you could have a support group to help you with banquets when they were too far away from me to get out this weekend, or for Vance to get out this weekend. You always had that support group. And that's what they didn't want you to have. They wanted you to be, well, heck, let's just put it in the simple ways. If you didn't put your foot down, they would have had you in a Ford Flex, trying to pull around the trailer, probably blowing out an axle every time you try to pull the dang thing.
They literally tried to put me in one of those, or put me in a caravan, a Dodge Caravan. I was like, I need 4-wheel drive. It's not a luxury. I have to have it. They said, well, you don't live in a mountain state, so you can't have a 4-wheel drive pickup. I go, what the hell's that got to do with anything? I said, okay, I got the Black Hills, and I got 3 banquets down there. Does that count? I go, where I live, if I don't have 4-wheel drive, I said, fine, you get me one of them 2 vehicles. I'm telling you that I won't go out in that bad weather if I think I'm going to get stuck getting out of my driveway.
Yeah,
I'll just stay home, and then less will get done. And guess what I got? The compromise, they give me that stupid little Ford Explorer, but they learned that lesson because the rear end went out of it. Both of the front axle hubs went out of it because they just weren't made for that kind of
Ford exploders.
Yeah, they really were. And I want to get back to Wayne. So one thing that I noticed when I was going through this court case a little bit, a lot of the accusations within it seem as if they're geared at the foundation. Now, as you know, because you were part of it, there were branches to the NRA. The NRA is, I believe, a 501c4 nonprofit. Okay. And that's a way different thing and way different rules than the 501c3, which that was the NRA Foundation. Of course, you've got the Whittington Center, the PVF, the Election Volunteer, EVC. I mean, there's lots of branches to the National Rifle Association, all with their own coding. But the main one is the 501c4. And the things they're accusing him of, some of them, you can do with a nonprofit organization. Just because you're nonprofit, A, doesn't mean you can't make a profit. B, depending on the type you file, you still have to file income tax, and you still can treat it as a business. I don't know if anyone's aware of that, but you can. So when I looked at some of these, they're trying to mix that over, and in the public eye, they're not going to know. Yes, you can't go do all this lavish thing on a foundation. You're not supposed to. If you're the ACLU or a liberal organization foundation, then you can get away with it, but not the NRA. And I can tell you right now, the bean counters at the NRA, if there's some wrongdoing, then Wayne I'm talking with the foundation side of it, then Wayne is pretty thrifty. I mean, they catch everything. You guys know, just when we did our own little reports on a banquet, they'd catch 2 cents, which is fine. But the checks and the double checks and the triple checks of expense and income coming out of the foundation, I don't see how he could have ever abused anything coming out of the foundation. So if anything is that the charges are related to the foundation, I don't believe it, just because that's what I was involved with the most. And I saw how the money was kept track. I mean, guys, you remember when we had to fill out the 1099s, even though we really didn't have to?
Yeah.
But we did it as a precaution. So we sent people 1099s out of precaution. So because we were the NRA, we can't screw up, right?
Well, there are so many things that we had to, as the NRA, had to do that no other group, no other, I don't want to name anybody, but no other hunting group or no other Second Amendment group or didn't have to do.
Right.
They didn't have to do it because they weren't getting the IRS wasn't being used as a tool against us.
Yes.
And so, it was like we had a target on our back. And so we've had a target on our back since 91. So,
for many years.
Right.
I feel like that these attacks are a big part of discrediting the NRA.
They are.
And just another attack, a backdoor to attacking the Second Amendment, because the NRA has been the strongest advocate for the Second Amendment since the beginning. And so I think this is just a backdoor attack.
Absolutely. And everything people are accusing him of, like I said, let's see what happens. Let's see what comes out in this case. I really am waiting to see all these things, but I'm gonna specifically go over some of the good things. One of them was, do you remember the little thing called the assault weapons ban? It had some fancy name about safe whatever, but if it wouldn't have been for Wayne LaPierre, who at that time was working with the ILA as well as being the executive vice president, that would have never expired, guys.
Nope.
We'd still have it. There would have been no sunset clause. You wouldn't have had 1022s. Yes, those were on the list. Remington 7400s, which are nothing more than a wood-stocked hunting rifle that's semi-auto. They'd have been banned. Essentially, every semi-auto you can think of, except for the exception of a few, would have been banned. And they would have been banned permanently, okay? And some of the things in that were just insane. But we had a Democrat Congress, House and Senate. We had a Democrat president willing to sign it. It was going to pass. This is what nobody... And that's why Marion Hammer, who was president at that time, she took a shellacking because, the NRA, Wayne LaPierre and Marion Hammer, they compromised our rights. No, they didn't. They actually saved them and restored them 10 years later.
Yeah.
Because that would have never, ever expired. It was going to pass. They litigated it down to nothing. And yes, it allowed certain reps and certain senators to then vote for that piece of crap. But it was minimal. At least things were grandfathered in. So if you had a 10-round mag or you had an AR-15 or anything like that, you could still have it. The original bill, you had to turn it in. I don't know if anybody knows that. But that was all the work of basically NRA's Wayne LaPierre and Chris Cox and James Baker. Chris Cox was there at the time too, but James Baker was very, very involved in that. And if it wasn't for the NRA as a whole, and people bitch about the NRA, you wouldn't have nothing today.
Right.
Nothing. The NRA is the 10,000-pound gorilla sitting in the corner, sitting there going, no, yes, no, you better not, and don't piss it off. Because they do still have the clout and the power within the legislative bodies and with its members. The members, they make it sound like the membership is, it's weakening. No, it's still pretty strong. And I imagine they're going to gain a lot of new members and probably donations off of this. And that's fine, because there was a lot of people that had lost trust in the NRA. So, like I said, I think it was very much time for Wayne to retire. And I thought he should have done it years ago, because he did have all this scrutiny around him, and I think it was really hurting the organization as a whole, and it was time for him to part ways and retire, and it has happened now. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Yeah. I agree. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so looking at what the Letitia James wants to come out of this trial, is to order, of course, the defendants to pay back all the money and be banned from serving in leadership positions in any charitable organization conducting business in the state. Sounds just like another case I've heard. Such as accepting donations from New Yorkers. You can't accept donations from New Yorkers at that point. So I don't understand how that works as a legality.
I don't either.
You can't accept or any other residents as members. You can't. So this is basically saying that you as a New Yorker can no longer be a member of the NRA.
Well, that's if he stayed with the NRA.
Right. This is what she's saying.
I went and looked. I actually looked up what charge or what was filed. So what that is in layman's terms, I guess, for lack of a better term, she's basically saying that she wants Wayne LaPierre, along with the other defendants listed in there, they can't have anything to do with any nonprofit organization in the state of New York. If they do, if another nonprofit would hire them, that means that nonprofit, whether it be the NRA, and that's what it is going to stop them from being affiliated with the NRA, but any organization. So I suppose she did that because she doesn't want to look like she's targeting one organization. So I don't know, pick your deal, Susan O'Gorman Foundation. If they hired him for the state of New York to head up whatever, then they would not be able to take one single donation from a New York resident.
Right.
See what I'm getting at?
Okay.
That's what she's asking for. And that's insane. And how would they know? I mean, really, seriously, how would they know? Certain donations, you don't even have to report them if they're under a certain amount of money.
Well, I hope he joins the Salvation Army.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
So I think Wayne will get through this court case. We'll see where it goes. I think then he will step back. I think he will be called upon by certain people. I mean, you guys all know I still call certain guys at headquarters.
Right.
I still have those connections, and why wouldn't I? I imagine he will have that same thing going on at the National Rifle Association, but as a whole, he won't be the face of the NRA. And I don't know where. I think he'll just retire and live out life.
He's 72
or 74. Yeah,
74 years old. He's had a good career with the NRA. He's Clay knows, and Mike probably does too. I've disagreed with some things he's done. Felt like he could be stronger, but all in all, he's had a fantastic career and done some really good things. Like Clay pointed out, we wouldn't have our that ban would not have lifted if it wasn't for him. So he's done what he can do, done a good job all in all, and time to go enjoy life and sit back.
Right.
Yeah. You got to remember, he came on board in 1977. This is how well I know all this. Basically after ILA was created. ILA didn't come around until 1975.
Right.
And then that's where Wayne cut his teeth and then eventually become the head of the ILA. And I mean, that guy, he was fierce. I don't know if you saw the debate he did with that gal from Europe. The great gun debate, they called it. I got the DVD still. He trounced her. I mean, that's when he was on his game. He was doing it. And I'm telling you, and he was instrumental, I think, and from what I understood there, basically bringing Charlton Heston into the fold after the Marion Hammer deal. NRA about split at that time. I don't know if anybody knows that. The NRA damn near split in half and went into two organizations. And a lot of people did leave. Larry Pratt, who is familiar with Gun Owners of America.
Right.
A lot of these other guys split. But the organization did not. Charlton Heston was a big part of that and brought the NRA back. And I think he had a lot to do with that. So let's see where the trial goes. Like I said, if he's guilty, he needs to pay the piper. He really does. But without LaPierre, especially in the 70s and 80s and even in the 90s, NRA would not be what it is today. It just wouldn't be.
No.
So
remember, there are 76 board members that decide everything. So it's tough to say that one guy's going to push around 76 people to all his way. But well,
I will tell you this: after being out there, whenever LaPierre walked through the hall, wherever you were, it was almost like a stand at attention thing. You were supposed to pay some pretty big respects to him. So, I mean, and if you didn't, you were called out on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably be called out.
Yeah, I was once or twice. I didn't even know. I mean, I didn't know that. If he comes, you're supposed to stand up and I mean, not salute, but Mr. LaPierre.
I'll show a man respect when he's earned my respect, but I'm not going to bow to him.
Exactly. And, he had my respect because I knew the things he had done. Now, if he's done these other things, then I feel pretty dumb doing that. So, but yeah. Anyway, that's where I'm at on Wayne. I think Wayne did a ton of good stuff for the NRA, brought it to where it was. Now let's move on. Okay, Wayne has resigned.
Yep,
he's retired. There's an interim guy in there right now who I met, and he seemed like a pretty solid guy. I don't think he's going to be the evil person at all. They're trying to make him out to be already. I want to see him bring in somebody that almost has the same effect that Heston had on the organization, because they need that. They need to bring in somebody with a very good rapport and is spotless. They really do. That's
my vote would be Colin Noor.
I think Colin Noor would be excellent. I think Chris Cox would be good.
Yep.
Chris, yeah.
I just there's a lot of good candidates out there to be the executive vice president. And I think Colin Noor would be fantastic. Like that guy's got a head on his shoulders. He really does.
His law background and his stance is so strong. I think
he could lead the NRA well, and he could put the right people in place down below him as he goes. You're going to have that managing director, and that's the guy that Kyle Weaver was, that oversaw our operations and everybody else's. And Colin could put the right people in there and get it done. He really could. So, yeah, Axel Hondo. Yeah, Doug says, yep, CN for sure. Absolutely. I agree. I think he'd be a great one. Like I said, I think Chris Cox would be another one. Remember, Chris tried to overthrow it. And don't be surprised, guys. Now, it will be interesting. Oliver North was a popular president. He wasn't in there even a year.
Yeah.
Right.
You could see him possibly come back because he was trying to fix these things in 2019. And he got ousted because of it. And it's because they had a plan. They were going to get rid of Wayne. And Wayne, unfortunately, won at that time. So now that that's done, you might see a whole different annual meeting. And just be watching the annual meeting. Maybe this is the one to go to this year. I don't know. But it's going to be interesting. So, all right. Well, let's take another break. Let's thank a sponsor here for supporting the show. And then we'll come back and we'll wrap this show up with a couple things. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Good.
All right. We'll see everybody on the other side of the break.
Lauer Auto Repair. They're located at 309 South Washington Street in Bismarck, North Dakota, or give them a call at 701-258-6308. The team of mechanics at Lauer Auto can tackle any problem your vehicle is having, and when you do business with Lauer, you can be assured you're doing business with the Pro Second Amendment America First Repair Shop. There's plenty of other auto repair shops in the Bismarck-Mandan area, but why take the chance of patronizing a shop that might not have your beliefs at heart? Make no mistake, Lauer Auto is your Pro Second Amendment repair shop. When you talk to the guys at Lauer Auto, don't forget to tell them you heard they're a sponsor of Guns and the 701 and that you appreciate their support of our Pro Second Amendment, Pro North Dakota live stream and podcast. That's Lauer Auto Repair, 701-258-6308, located at 309 South Washington Street, Bismarck, North Dakota.
All right. Again, thanks to Lauer Auto and for everything they do to support the show. So I'm going to skip over the Iowa shooter thing. I think maybe we'll cover that. I mean, guys, I'll just say something very quick. It's left the narrative of the general media because it didn't fit the ideology of what they wanted. And pretty much it's disappeared, as I figured it would after I saw what had happened. But we're kind of running short on time. And I think that's something we can cover later. Maybe we'll bring it up Friday. I don't know, but something we can do later. So before we move on, though, to like happy ending, and we're going to have Jamie joining us here in just a little bit, I've got to show this video and kind of announce something we're going to be doing because I think it's kind of cool what we're going to have on the coming up. So here we go, guys. I'll go ahead and play this. Yeah. Doesn't that look fun?
It looks fun. Talk about being a grill master.
So that is the Pulsar flamethrower. And I guess I kind of had this idea floating around in my head because I seen this ad come up and there was a heck of a good price on them, sale price. People have asked me so many times, where do you get one? How did Jamie have that one in the intro? Because, if you noticed in the intro, I played by accident, the flamethrower's on there.
Yep.
And I thought, that might be the thing. So we kind of talked about it. We all discussed it. And guess what? There it is, guys. That's what we're going to be doing.
Ooh.
We are going to be doing the G&The701 Pulse Fire Flamethrower Raffle. This thing, guys, it's not little. It can be mounted to the bottom of your AR. You can run it just like you see it right there. We're going to run this out of South Dakota so that we don't have to worry about all the archaic gambling and gaming laws in North Dakota. So we're going to run it out of South Dakota. But so we're not breaking no laws, guys. But this is what we're going to do. 150 tickets. We don't have them yet, so don't start chiming in.
Coming soon.
Coming soon. $20 each till they're sold out, and then we're gonna draw. And I'm tempted to order one for myself just to have it.
Well, I was thinking when we're playing that, we need one in Florida.
Yeah,
that's kind of what I was thinking. So I thought that might be kind of cool to have, and
New way to roast a pig.
I might bite the bullet. I've needed another new toy. I mean, I bought a AR upper and built a different AR, but I like that flamethrower. Can you put that on the bottom? Jamie, how we doing?
Hey, doing good, guys. How you doing tonight?
Good.
Oh, it's been an interesting show, I think.
Hey, Josh, what's up, buddy?
I've been a little bit lower energy than I usually do. What the hell?
That flamethrower looks badass.
Oh, doesn't it? I had a better video, but it didn't load up for whatever reason. I suppose it was just a little bit too big of a file for our program.
So, are hosts of G&The701 eligible to win?
Yes, they are. Your money's just as good. Our money's just as good as everybody else's.
There you go.
If they knew what I had in that raffle for the Farm Bureau, you'll know it's not rigged. I spent my share in there.
Clay brought that up to me, showed me that yesterday, and I was going, yeah, that thing's freaking badass for sure. Let's do that. That is freaking awesome, man.
So I got it ordered.
Hey, Cap, thanks, buddy.
Went in and ordered it, and it'll be here. So when I get it, I should have it by next week, guys. So we might have to do a little preview on the show. So
Clay, send me a link of where you ordered that from.
I can do that. That's pretty easy. To do. So yeah, I'm really excited. I think that's going to be a good raffle, and we're doing that on behalf of Northwest Shooters is going to run the raffle out of Morristown, South Dakota, and all proceeds will be going to G&The701. So yeah,
awesome. Yeah,
hey, Dan says Dakota Rifle in Dickinson has a flamethrower just like Jamie's.
Nice.
So, all right. So what we got going on here, that's why Jamie wanted to come on here, and I invited him. I said, you better come on. Jamie's got a little something going on that I think everybody should hear about.
Yeah, so tomorrow night's going to be the first episode of 701 Nation. I'm going to have my buddy Tyson Schwab on. You can catch it, and that's going to be on just like this. I mean, it's not set every Thursday night, but tomorrow it's going to be. And all the outlets that G&The701's on. It's right in conjunction with G&The701. Obviously, I'm still involved. As Clay likes to call it, a founding father. And Tyson. I think Tyson either he had the state record mule deer or he was right there with rifle. And so we're going to talk. We're going to just start off, introduce Tyson, talk about scouting mule deer. It's going to be a whole mule deer podcast, man, because I love mule deer and Tyson's a big muley guy. He knows way more about hunting than I do. Younger guy than I am, but guns, bows, what kind of bow he uses, what he's into on that, and was he like typical, non-typical, what you do after the hunt, what he's going to do with the meat, shed hunting. I think it's just going to be all mule deer, and I'm going to try and keep it right at about 75 minutes or less. I want to keep it at that. And when I start out doing this, I'm just going to do it like every other week. I'm going to do it, but I'm definitely into more doing the video thing. Not that I think I'm some big videographer or anything, because I'm not. I just look like some dipshit with a camera shooting guns, but I have fun doing it.
A good face for radio.
Yeah, for sure. My teeth, for sure. I wish I had Clay's nice, perfect smile there, but I don't. I opted out on the braces.
A lot of money.
But yeah, we're gonna do that, like I said, and just kind of the stuff I'm gonna do. We're gonna kind of get out of my wheelhouse on a few things. I'm talking to a buddy of mine he's a championship team roper. I'm thinking about having him on. He's getting into some prairie dog shooting, kind of do some of that. I love eating walleye. I used to be a huge fisherman for whatever reason. Don't do it anymore. But man, there's actually more guys I know that own guns that fish than they actually do hunt. So I'm into that. Hey, I'd like to get the message out, and people love fishing. And
hey, my buddy Brad actually sent me something from his ice house, and he said, just like sitting in your hunting shack, man. So
I love the ice fish. I really do.
So the format of the show, Jamie, is it's going to be more focused on the hunting and fishing and
guns and gear. Yeah, exactly, Vance. Hunting, fishing, pretty much. I mean, guns and gear is going to be my first thing. I love shooting more than anything, and we're going to do a lot more gun reviews. Well, of course, right now the weather kind of sucks, but I'm just talking to Axe today about going out there, not this weekend, but next weekend, maybe some kind of cold weather gun review. I'm blowing some shit up. We always like to do that. That's always fun too. But yeah, guns and gear, hunting, fishing, and just I'm actually talking about doing like a sausage making show because hey, what's more making sausage in Upper Midwest, and just something like getting some stuff out of my wheelhouse. Something I mean, not that I'm an expert on anything, but I certainly like having people on. That's
Here's your
something
guy,
different.
right?
There's Tyson right there with the absolute beast, and that's just one of them. This guy's a slayer of giant mule deer. It's awesome, and he's super passionate about it. So it's going to be a good show. Ty's an awesome guy, and I seen that mount he's got in his house. It's crazy. That thing is.
I got to put this up. One Shot says he thought you got impeached, Jamie.
No. I just trying to expand the fingers on the show a little bit and just get the message out, man. I'm a Guns in the 701 man to my core, and obviously it's right behind me. That's not going anywhere. Neither my Guns in the 701 gear. In fact, Clay's bringing me some up. I got some people who want it, and some people think I'm trying to do my own thing and ditch everybody. That's not happening. That is not happening.
The questions I got.
It sounds like a great program. I'm looking forward to
it. Yeah. Hey, man, and then if anybody, the more we get the chats when we're on there, the better. I love interacting with people. It makes the show a lot better. I mean, the thing is, Clay, and you guys know this too. When they're doing that, it's hard to get to all the stuff you want to get to. But
we're going to be skipping some tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I love interacting with radio talk shows or shows like this in the chats or whatever. But yeah, it's just looking to have some fun and talk about some 701 Nation, 701 lifestyle stuff. It should be fun.
Well, and I think it's when we first talked about it, I thought it was a great idea. I don't know. I hope that's what you got from me when you first talked.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, Clayton. Absolutely.
I think it was it's going to hopefully reach more people. And we're still going to be crossing over, guys, like we're doing right now. Jamie and I are good friends. I think we still talk daily.
Yeah. We talk.
The first thing I got was, oh, my gosh, what's Jamie doing leaving? And now I was like, no, it has nothing to do with it. It's all still Guns in the 701. But I said, like everything else, we're going to have another show.
Yeah.
And another segment. I think it's, like Brian Warner said, he goes, great. Now I got 2 nights I can watch.
There you go.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not fixed on Thursdays. That just happened to work out for me because I wanted to get it going, and that day worked out best for Ty. I actually wanted to do it on a Saturday, which, man, that would have been, hey, competing against the NFL playoffs and whatever. Screw it, man. My team's in it, but I don't really care. I'd rather be doing something like this.
Well, think about this. You got Scotty comes on Saturday morning. I think it'd be a great follow-up in the evening on Saturday.
Yeah.
Well.
I'm going to get a hold of Scott too. I want to have him on. I got an idea, some stuff I want to talk to him about. And I know, Clay, I talked to you about, Sean Cleary told me, my senator in District 35, he's working on getting this gun range built in Medora. I'm going to get a hold of him, have him on. I'd love to talk some reloading stuff with people. Again, I'm not an expert on reloading. I know more about reloading than probably most people I know, but there's people that make me look like I never reloaded around. So
I think one of the experts we have on here is David Fetting. That guy knows a lot.
Yeah, Dave's a wizard, man. He knows way more about it than he's forgotten. How's that saying go? He's forgotten more about reloading than I'll ever learn.
Well, before you go here, I'm just gonna play your little deal here that you had on Facebook.
Okay.
I think there you go, and just kind of give you guys just a touch of what this is going to be. I think
you bet.
There you go. Fuel.
Oh yeah, love it.
So I think that gives you everybody a good idea what this show is going to be about, and I like it. And when Jamie and I started this, we talked about 701, guns in a 701, and we've done a lot. But let's face it, yeah, we've done a lot of non-701 stuff, and I think it's good to bring that back, to give it and separate that out and do what you're doing. And I think it's going to be a good fit. I really do.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, hey, we're gonna find out, man. And and I'm not saying there's not gonna be any politics on. Politics is in everything, but I like I'm gonna kind of leave that to you guys on this and Mitchell in the morning every Friday on K-Fire. But there's no doubt about it. It's gonna come in because hey, I can't contain my mouth, Clay, if something pisses me off. Gun
Well,
grabbers,
look at it this way.
Got to say it, man.
We're all part of Rack's adventure team too, so
Yep.
I could see this being something good when we're down in Florida. Maybe we do a little segment there where we can all.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I'm taking my computer with me, and I'm gonna have a couple cameras with me. So yeah, I think we can do a little something and chime in with you.
I got a new camera. A UPS tried to deliver it today, but it needed a signature.
Oh, I know we got you a new camera, so that's good.
Yeah. I'm getting jacked up for that because I've been using other than my iPhone, man. My other cameras have been really second-rate stuff, and I'm not saying this is the best thing, but it's definitely going to be an upgrade from what I had. And Axel and I have been talking about it for a while to get a better camera.
Ought to be fun with 2A day now.
Oh yeah, 280, man. I'm looking forward to that big time. What did Doug Thompson say? Hey, Jamie, I see my brother's good friend, Ferdup. Actually, Doug, I don't know him, but I do follow his page, and I know Daryl Solom, I think, and Zap. I did buy some primers from my dad. Actually went over and got them from. Yeah, awesome rifle builder. That guy makes some badass rifles. Check him out on Facebook, Ferdup Firearms. And Clay, I was watching you guys. I did make a Rumble. A personal Rumble account. It was just called 701 Nation, and I got it up on and I got a new X account up too. So it's
good enough.
So I mean, it's a personal account. It's so you can
We've been fighting some of that, and when you go live, I think I have it worked tonight, Jamie. So you'll be able to broadcast right to the Rumble channel. I can tell you right now, we're getting more views and things, especially throughout the week, on the Rumble channel than we are on CommieTube. So I guess that's good. It's a whole different group of people. That's just it. It's a different group of people. So welcome, and they're tuned in tonight. I just went over and looked at it.
The thing about CommieTube, man, if you do shorts on there, they
take off.
I haven't done it in a while, and I started just doing them again, and man, they're taking off good. Yeah. Also, we're on. Yeah, I know this, man. I swear this pissed off just as many people as as they like. But TikTok, we got a TikTok account now.
Yeah.
Oh man, so the hate messages I received from some people, especially our buddy Gumshoe. He was really pissed off.
Gumshoe.
It's a huge format.
Yeah, everybody's there.
You got to go on, and I mean, I've barely done anything on there, and we're picking up subscribers. So if we start hitting that, and I mean, I want you guys, Clay. I think I sent you the login information for it. You can share with the guys.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I'm telling you, if you never did shorts or stuff like that, like TikTok, I don't care if you think it's the dumbest thing you've ever did. Go ahead and put it on there, and you'll be surprised how many subscriptions and people will like it and follow you because of that. And you think you do something, me and Clay talked about, you think you do like the coolest video, like, man, this is so awesome and people are going to love this. And you're like, huh? What the hell? Nobody watched it. What?
I just looked right now. So you're hiking at the ranch, Western North Dakota is over 4,500 plus now.
Yeah. And what that is, if nobody's seen it, it's just me walking, like taking a selfie video of myself for 14 seconds, just walking around at my dad and my uncle's ranch. And
I mean, you got think about this. I put up beef. It's what's for dinner. It was a couple burgers sizzling in a frying pan. That got like 560 views. Really? 560 people watch burgers sizzling?
Well, they were hungry.
I guess.
Yeah,
so.
And they did look good. To be fair,
the Christmas tree hunting tag field that got over 6,000.
Yeah, that was a good one, man. That was.
What?
I actually liked it. I wish you wouldn't have took the comments down, Clay, because I was laughing at the people hating on Eric. Eric, you got like they were calling you a redneck, and I'm like, you think you're insulting this guy? Come on.
Yeah.
Well, I could just go activate him again, and we could have some fun.
All right, man. I'm gonna let you guys go.
Yes, well, glad you
And,
got on. And
appreciate you.
I'm
Good
glad you
talking.
made an appearance here once again at your home.
I was watching the whole night, man. You guys, love it. So we'll catch you guys. We'll catch you guys Friday morning. KFOR 550 AM 99.7. And
Probably,
do that.
I'm going to catch it tomorrow night.
Yeah, we'll watch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll be watching
All
you.
right.
And I can
Good.
tell you this,
Appreciate
Jamie,
that, man.
Mike and I have been working on this. We're going to try to get this very soon so we can take phone calls.
Awesome. Yeah, I actually had somebody ask me that yesterday.
It will make it more interactive, and we're working on it. We'll get there.
Yeah,
So
Wayne
there's big
Moore
things
asked me
kind
that.
of coming, guys. Big thing's going to be the raffle now when we get that up and running. I
Yeah.
should have tickets for that within the week.
Yeah,
next
it's gonna
week.
be good.
So, I think they're going to go fast.
Very fast. Yeah.
That's kind of why we'll put it on the show. And I'll put it to you this way: if you want tickets right now, email me at guns@gunsandthe701.com.
Vance is on it.
And I'll just start making a list and getting it on there for you guys.
There you go, Deke's going under.
There you go.
You guys got me head. First one in, it's like
I'm telling
your
you,
deer tag. Get it in first, you get drawn right away.
I want one of them.
I got to do my tic tac dance real quick.
There you go.
So, there, I put it up there so everybody can see it. So,
all right,
awesome.
And as soon as we get them sold out, guess what? We'll be drawn. So yeah.
All right. Well, I see you have looking at the comments. Sounds like people watching now are going to join tomorrow. So awesome! If you guys are watching. I hope you're not disappointed and it's boring as hell. But
and look at it like this, guys. If its success will be our success. It's all part of Guns and the 701.
Right. There you go.
So
100%.
we're all on board with it, man.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah. And one more thing before I go, Todd Mitchell said as long as he's at KFYR, Guns and the 701 is going to be there. So. Love that. Todd, you're awesome, buddy. You're awesome.
We're working on that. By the way, Mike, he got back with me and he said we should be able to make that work. So tomorrow we might try to do all that with the phone call. What I did is I called Mike, we patched it there, and then we were going to try to patch it up there to Todd so it sounds better.
Right. Oh, you're talking about, okay.
Mitchell in the morning. Yep.
Yeah.
So.
My kid's peeking in the door here. She must have something wrong with her new car because she keeps looking at me with this very depressed face. So.
Well, you better go find that. Well, you did buy her Chevrolet, so
I did. You did. We did do that.
All right.
Good thing they're cheap to fix. All right, guys.
We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow night.
You guys will see you tomorrow night. You bet.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye. All right, guys. 701 Nation. I think that's going to be a good show. I really do.
Yep.
It's going to focus on different stuff that. It's hard to do it all in an hour and a half, and it really is. So I like this idea, and he's going to focus on a different part of this. So, yeah, sounds good.
All right.
Anybody else got any? I'm gonna forgo the happy ending tonight. We're at an hour and a half right now, and I kind of really want to start sticking to that. So,
well, we got a lot of new people watching, and if they don't know already, of course, LAUER Automotive has been a huge supporter of us since the beginning. If you know of a Second Amendment business, if you are a Second Amendment business and you would like to be on this, and we're covering South Dakota, North Dakota, Georgia, we're all over the place. You know what? But we're all about the Second Amendment. And if you're a business like that, we want to hear from you as well at Guns and the 701. Of course, make sure you email us, let us know. And of course, Clay and us will let you know how you can get on the show.
Absolutely. And I can tell you right now, we're in the works. Jamie and I right now are bringing another gun shop back on as a major sponsor like we had with Mandan Sporting Goods.
Awesome.
We'll see how that goes. And I know we're going to try to meet with them when I'm up there next week, hopefully. Make it all happen. I'm excited. Some things have been happening. I know that Mike had mentioned Boyd Stocks at one time, and we've done some business with them with the NRA.
Yeah,
and then I'm talking to a business right here. So there's a lot of things happening right now that if they all come together, this should be a great year. And hey, it's an election year. It ought to be fun. We should have plenty of material, especially as we get closer. And with the Iowa thing coming up, I think that's going to be interesting too. So, all right, guys. Well, I don't have anything else. So, Vance, I can tell you this right now. I had an email. I think I sent it on to you, and we want to thank Mark Schatz, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He says, I love the latest podcast with the getaway bag and everything else. I'm not a big religious guy, but I love the prayer at the end, and it was completely unexpected, but it was great. I'm not a guy who listens to live streams. I'm more of a podcast guy, just for some context. But I appreciate everything you guys have done. Keep up the great work. And he basically signed up and wanted to be part of the email listing when we send stuff out. So thank you, Mark. We appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And we love hearing stuff. And I kind of want to make that an every week thing. If you're okay with advance, I believe that we need to have more of that. So if you would part with a parting prayer, we'd love to have it.
Absolutely. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunities that you give us in this still great country, Lord, to have these podcasts and live streams to celebrate and discuss our freedoms and have the freedom of speech that we do. And Lord, we just lift up our representatives in DC and pray for a touch of hearts and a touch in their minds to give proper leadership and godly leadership in this country. And Lord, we pray for a great move in the hearts of the people in this country. And Lord, as we leave tonight, we just lift up all of our soldiers that are overseas and our soldiers in active duty and just pray that for protection over them, Lord. And we thank you for their service, Lord. And Lord, we just pray for prosperity in this podcast and this live stream cast, and just pray for direction in our hearts and our minds, Lord, and pray that everything we do glorify you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pat. Thank you much for that, Vance. So, guys, with that, don't forget, tune in tomorrow, 7 o'clock Central Time. We're not saying Mountain. 7 o'clock Central Time, 701 Nation. Be the first episode of that. And JD's going to go ahead and take care of that and bring you a brand new type of show. And I'm looking forward to watching myself. We're going to have to probably tune in and rib him a little bit. So Friday morning, Mike and I, we're going to be joining Todd Mitchell on Mitchell in the Morning. And that's going to be at 7:15 Mountain, 8:15 Central. We're on there up until 9 o'clock. But as everybody knows, there's the big long break in the bottom. So it's about, 22 minutes, Mike, something like that.
None of that.
And hopefully we got the sound issue fixed that a lot of people talked about from last week. But looking forward to that. We're going to probably talk a little bit about Jamie's show on there and how it went as well. So tune in for that. And of course, right here every Wednesday night, 6 p.m. Mountain.
Don't forget next week.
Central. Don't forget. Oh, that's right.
Next week
we're going to talk about. There's a new movie out there. If you haven't seen the preview, Civil War. This is their map. I think it's wrong. But we're going to be talking about Civil War and mainly what may cause it, what will it look like, what will start it, where is it going to start? I don't know. But I think their map right here is a little off. But I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole tonight.
That's for another show.
And this will be more than
shows with our crowd.
What's that?
That might be for a few shows considering our crowd.
Well, that's why we're trying to get the phone lines. We're trying to get that up and running. Maybe by next week. I don't know, because we'd love to take your calls on that and hear what you guys have to say, because that's actually a relevant point as to what are you hearing? What do you think? It's a tinderbox as far as I'm concerned. I travel still quite a bit doing other things, and I can tell you right now, being in the states of Wyoming, North and South Dakota, and even slipped over to Montana here not too long ago, everybody's feeling the same. And this election is going to be either the tipping point or not. I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go, but the movie's interesting. I've seen some previews of it. I haven't watched the movie because it's not out yet, but I think it's going to be a great subject. And we're going to make that, I don't know. It's going to be more than a 1-part series. It's going to be 3-4 part series. And I don't know how we're going to do it yet, guys. We've talked a lot about it. We'll let you guys know by next week. We should have it figured out when we're going to do it, how we're going to do it. So.
Yeah, something's definitely on people's minds, because we had talked about that. I did not mention that to my son, that we had talked about the Civil War subject, and he sent me that trailer.
Yeah,
so it's on people's minds.
And I had a suggestion that I loved, the Second Revolution, because it's probably more of that than a Civil War.
Yeah.
So we'll see what we're going to do with it. I'm really kind of pumped up about it. So next week, tune in. And I don't know if it'll be the whole show or we'll take a segment of this show and then do our series. We're going to brainstorm about that, and then we'll have that figured out hopefully by next week. And I would say right now, guys, us three are the guys that are probably going to be here mainly. With people coming in and out, especially if one of us can't be here, something like that. I think this is working real good, and people seem to like it. So we're going to go with that format right now. I know that David's going to join us one evening because we got a plan for that too. We talked about doing an on-air build, but I gotta be careful with that and see if that violates community standards on CommiTube, because I'm not sure. But we'll have to see. We're not firing the gun, so really it shouldn't be a big issue, but we shall see.
You never know.
Never know. All right, guys, with that, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate all the support. Don't forget to hit the store, gunsandthe701.com/store. We're still running a Christmas special. There's no shipping on anything. So whatever you buy, there's no shipping on that, and it's tax included. So yeah, what you see as the price, and it's going to be shipped right to your door. Generally, the shirts, we got to make them. We don't keep like this huge inventory because we're not a big store. But we definitely get them out within 7 to 10 days,
Right.
just about every time they show up, even a little bit before. But I always say 7 to 10 because you never know this time of year. So anyway, with that, I'm going to let everybody go again. Tune in this Friday, 8:15 Central, 7:15 Mountain, and next week, of course, 6 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Central. And don't forget tomorrow, 701 Nation with JD right here, same place, same time, tomorrow evening. Keep your powder dry, guys, and we'll see you next week.